Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Pew to Power. And Joe and I were just discussing over the break that, we need to talk about New England, but do we really want to? We have to.
We have to. We'll spend one segment on them, and then we'll roll in the next segment. And we'll talk about
right. And we really going into the game at the press box, there was a lot of trepidation and excitement for the game.
Until about 30 seconds into the game, I was really excited to watch them play the Patriots.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah, but I mean, New England looked in mid-season form, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they really did.
Tom Brady, 11 of 19 for 118 yards and 2 TDs, and that was the first half.
Yeah, listen, they had 21 points and 150 yards in the first half. That's and we watched Aaron Hernandez, the tight end. It's just so aggravating because we were aggravated at the game. I didn't know what else to do. But Aaron Hernandez, the ex-Gator, tight end, pitch and catch. Same with Chad Ochocinco.
Chad Ochocinco was wide open.
Pitch and catch. Both were wide open. Totally just blown coverages. Now, all the players weren't playing for Tampa. Two corners, Myron Lewis was out. Aqib Talib was out. So you're playing one of the best passing teams in the league. Wes Welker looked like like Randy Moss in his prime. I mean, because they're just not ready to play that caliber team with a second team players.
Well, New England is one of the teams that really wasn't affected by the lockout because they have so many, reserve.
Yeah, there's no young people on that
That's what I'm saying. They're older players. They're experienced players. So they come right in and they're hitting on all cylinders. And that's kind of what I saw with Tom Brady. And I think the Bucs were kind of like standing on their back feet. They kind of got healed. Yeah. They got shell-shocked.
Yeah, because they didn't know what to do.
The pace was so quick with Brady.
Early on, it was ugly.
I mean, he was doing quick counts, and even I think it was Daquan Bowers was the one who mentioned something about Brady on a radio show, and he got chastised for it.
Yeah, and he shouldn't have. But
he shouldn't have. I mean, he was making a joke. Brady was good.
Yeah, he was beyond good.
The reigning NFL most valuable player. Was it good?
He proved why he was the most valuable player. Now, that's the first game he's played in, so they played him pretty much the whole first half, which is unusual in the second preseason game. But he did not play in the first one at all, so that's why they did that.
And I think, when Joe was actually questioning a little bit during the game, and he was saying, why they have Brady in? And we kept on looking at, what it was, and we finally figured it out. It was certain areas of the game he was working on, short line.
Yeah, scoring. Since they were scoring so much, you don't have to throw.
Yeah, scoring is right. But I mean, short yardage situations, goal line situations, third and longs. He was in there even when we thought he shouldn't be in there, and the backup quarterback was in for a couple plays in the first half, but that was it. Then the second half took over.
I kind of look at the bad and good when I look at games like that. What was really bad? What was really good? Well, really bad, the defensive line was horrible. Yeah. They had 200 yards rushing.
I mean, I'll interrupt you. Both lines got blown out.
Well, that's my other. The offensive line was even worse. You can allow a team to score, but you can't let somebody hit your quarterback every time, every single play. I felt so bad for Josh Freeman. He couldn't get into a rhythm. They were laying him on the ground every single play. I mean, one right after another, he was on the ground.
2 sacks, two real sacks in the game for him. He was 5 of 10.
He had no time. He had 0 time.
5 of 10, 33 yards, and he was on 5 series. Now, they thought they were going to put him in for maybe 2 series, but they kept him in for 5 to try to get some momentum going.
They couldn't run the ball. I mean, they had no running game. They had no open holes. They were blitzing,
starters.
And they were blitzing pretty regularly. I mean, they were blitzing. On the second preseason game, you normally don't see that. So, Raheem Morris came in after the game. We got to talk to him in there for a little bit, and that's what he talked about. They were way ahead of where they expected the Patriots to be in week 2. Right. Which, hey, that's okay. They got to see where they need to work.
And I think it was a great slap in the face for them.
They got real tape to look at this week on what they were not doing right. Last week he said, I couldn't find anything wrong. This week he said, well, I'm pretty sure I'll find some things wrong this week.
That's right.
And look, my best player of the week, and we'll talk about it because I talked about him last week, it would be punter Michael Keenan.
Again.
They paid him $19 million. Listen, this young man had 3 punts. He averaged over 52 yards a punt. Malone, the backup punter, had a 17-yard punt on his first punt.
Yeah, and he shanked it on the first one.
He's horrible. That's why he's getting cut. And he kicked every kickoff into the end zone.
Yep.
Keenan did. So is he what he's worth? He is absolutely worth every penny. That was a bad problem for Tampa last year, and I think they really addressed it by stealing him from the Atlanta Falcons in their own division.
So we have 2 bad points, the offensive and defensive line that didn't carry. What are some other, besides the punter?
There were some great good points. Albert Mack. He had a great game. Corner. He's the one that had the 69-yard interception for a touchdown in the second half, but he had great coverage throughout the whole game, stayed in position. Big problem for Tampa against the Patriots. They were not in position very much at all. Preston Parker had a great game too. He only had a couple catches, 43 yards. He had a kick return for 30 yards, a couple punt returns. Did a great job for a second-year player that didn't get to really play last year. And running back Alan Bradford, the rookie 7th-round pick, he was 5 for 17 yards. Did okay. Got some openings in the second half.
Scored a touchdown.
Yeah. My favorite player of the game was Chad Ochocinco. Did you see what happened after the game? He actually got in trouble. He actually got chastised. He offered to pay the fine for Mason Foster. Mason Foster lit him up in the first half. I mean, he's probably going to get a fine for hitting him, and they still haven't brought it out yet, but I'm sure they will. And Chad Ochocinco offered to pay the fine because he said, that's just football. It was a great hit.
Yeah.
Can't do that. Got in trouble. But I was pretty impressed with that.
I like that. I mean, I think, you know, it's funny. You talk about Chad Ochocinco. He's coming around. He's coming to the New England guy.
Yeah,
he's New England way.
You know, I'm telling you, New England changes players. I don't know how they do that. He is a good football player, but they're going to turn him into a good NFL
team player.
I guess you would say.
NFL. Okay.
You know, I mean, he caught a touchdown pass, threw his hands up, dropped the ball, went back to the huddle. You never see that from Chad Ochocinco.
I'd tell you too that one of the key moments, well, not key moments, I say one of the better moments I thought, and again, this is football, was Whitehead getting just clean. I mean, decleated basically.
There was no penalty there.
There was no penalty, and I think it was Briscoe or Jenny or somebody, forget, on a special teams play, and he came around and he did not even know what month it was.
He had no idea.
No clue.
He had absolutely zero idea where he was. He jumped up, and they're all like, lay down, and he was wobbling. And then he fell down, and then he got back up, and then they took him off to the sidelines. And he was okay. He was fine, but it was a clean hit.
It was clean.
It was clean. He just didn't see the guy.
I tell you, that's the greatest thing about football is that, you get these hits, and then people step up and,
Because we really, all the people in the press box didn't have a lot of good things to talk about.
Yeah, so that was it.
They were talking great things about the Patriots. I mean, there was a lot of Patriot discussion, and they are a great football team and a Super Bowl contender, I'm sure, with the players they have now.
Right. But you know what? We're going to come back, and we're going to wipe the slate clean and get rid of New England.
Yep, game over.
Going to Miami, Miami's coming to us, and we are going to take it to them. We're going to see what happens in Joe's.
And this is a big game. A lot of things we have to really look at this week because players are going to play into the third quarter, the starters.
Right. So. Third preseason is always a game-changing thing, and you're going to play a lot of starters, and the coaches have to work too. So
come right back. We'll talk about the Miami Dolphins.